Hi everyone, and welcome to another Naked Truth. Trisha Hershberger here. Last week got a little controversial, I know, but a lot of people wanted to talk about it, so I'm really glad that we did that. And speaking of a lot of people wanting to talk about it, the Naked Truths last week were overwhelming. The Naked Army grows each week. So big thank you to Kim, Tyler, Christopher, Nathan, Pat, Hiram, Lawrence, Tiffany, John, Patricia, Meg, Michael, Julia, Leonard, Nicholas, Jenny, Tyler, Prescott, and Kristen, Tom, Jose, and Richard for all sending in their own Naked Truths last week. If you want to check those videos out, if you need to further the discussion on marijuana, you can do that in the description below. I'll post the links to those who wanted to share them, and I will not post the links for those who didn't. So on to this week. Let's make it a little bit of a lighter week, shall we? Mr. Thierry Fournier, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that completely wrong because I'm sure that it's French, said, in 2008, you were on Paris Hilton's My New BFF reality show. I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your short experience on reality TV. So the first thing I want to say to this is facepalm, facepalm, facepalm. This is actually one of those things that I really don't like to bring up because I feel like it was a really bad experience overall, and I feel like it gives off a very misleading assumption for people of what actually happened. So I guess now is confession time, Naked Truth, and it's time to talk about it. But in talking about it, hopefully I will help other people out there who may have considered going into reality television as a viable way of getting a platform, and this is why I would not recommend it. So story time, Trisha's experience doing reality TV. Dun dun dun! So, long story short, my experience was pretty bad, as you probably could have guessed from this lead-in. All throughout the casting process, they didn't say who the celebrity it was associated was, and they were very misleading about it. I was told that the show that I was auditioning for was like a celebrity version of The Apprentice, and I thought, oh, I'm really good at like business stuffs, and like I think I'd be really good on an Apprentice type show. And they said, you know, because it's a celebrity version of Apprentice, the celebrity that's affiliated with it needs someone who will be able to do the whole Hollywood and LA socialite scene as well as the business smarts during the day. And I thought, oh, I can do this. I actually made Anthony Carboni laugh. We were having drinks and talking about it, and I said, oh, party in business. I'm party in business, which was his favorite quote of the night. I'm party in business, says Trisha Hershberger. But this was back in 2008, and I thought this was perfect, and I was, you know, trying to get my name out there since I didn't have any family connections, or I hadn't started as a child celebrity or a child actor. This, I thought, maybe was a way to open that door, and I was told during casting that whoever were to win this series would maybe get their own talk show out of it, or, you know, have that public platform to then build your career as you like. So I thought this was great. At the very end of the casting process, I found out it was Paris Hilton, and I understandably went, no. And they said, no, you know, think of all the businesses she owns, and she runs those herself, and she's actually a lot smarter than people give her credit for, and in this series, she wants to come out as, you know, not just being the ditzy socialite, but the smart businesswoman that she is. So I thought, okay. So I went into it. And then they offered me an awful contract once I was finally chosen amongst the finalists for the series. The contract, I was trying to find it for you guys to read some of the more ridiculous sections, but it essentially said that for no pay and 6 weeks, I would fall off the face of the planet. I couldn't get phone calls from anyone or emails from anyone. I had to be completely cut off from the outside world. Again, no pay for 6 weeks, which I was not living with my parents. I didn't have someone paying my bills, so to take a 6-week vacation off of your paid job is really hard. But that's fine. It was an opportunity, I told myself. And also in the contract, it said that they could say anything they wanted to about you, whether it was true or not. It said that they could film you in all states of dress and undress, as long as you were on the show. And it also said that if you were eliminated early on in the show, they could keep you in like an annex house until the end of the show filming was over. Again, completely cut off from everyone you know. No cell phones, no text messages, nothing. You're just kind of imprisoned for the rest of the filming. So that contract was awful to me. Oh, and they also wanted exclusivity over like everything I ever did on screen forever and ever, amen. So obviously I typed up my own set of amendments to that contract because, you know, as much as they said, oh, well, the filming you nude thing is only in case you decide to rip off your shirt and jump in the pool, then you can't sue us. I don't care. I still don't want to sign a contract saying you can film me while I'm peeing. Sorry, I'm not cool with that. So anyway, I typed up my amendments and sent them into legal team. They did accept everything that I said miraculously. And then when I finally got on the show and started filming for the show, everything was super forced. They would say things like, okay, we need you to repeat the question in sentence form, which is fairly standard, but they would say things like, are you really excited to be going to this club with Paris? So that you'd say, I'm really excited to be going to this club with Paris. Like, they were just feeding you exactly what to say and instigating you to say things as they wanted, because even though reality TV is presumed reality, most of the time it's a contrived situation, and the producers and directors have a definite story arc that they want it to follow. And then when I got there and actually met the other competitors, first of all, I realized right away this was not a celebrity version of The Apprentice, and I had been definitely misled just because the other people there were, like, one was a rock star, and one girl just kept talking about using drugs all the time, and there were some very outlandish personalities that I thought, ooh, they are not here to get a talk show or to do business type things. So I was probably misled. I won't say lied to, because that's mean. I probably already said lied to. Oh well, you get what I'm saying. They didn't give us any food, only alcohol the whole time, because they were purposefully trying to get people a little tipsy so that they'd act crazy so that we could look a fool. They blindfolded us and, like, did a bunch of stuff to us for the camera that felt like I'd never been a part of Greek life myself, but felt like what you read hazing stories are like. So right away, that was really bad. And from the second I got the contract before we even started filming to that point was like, no, I'm done. I'm out. And honestly, I think the producers felt the same way about me because I had been such a problem up until this point, not just letting them run the show. So halfway off the first episode, I got voted off, which I could not have been happier. So they didn't use any of my exit interview because I was like, oh, thank God, this has been awful. I don't really want to be on the show anyway, so none of that was used. But yeah, I got voted off halfway through the first episode with a couple other girls, one of whom cried, which is hilarious. But anyway, that was my experience. They did not keep me in the annex house afterwards. And then when the show finally aired and I saw what they did with it and what they were actually going for with that show, I mean, this was the first season, so I had no idea what they were doing with the show. I realized how far it was from what they told me it was going to be. I mean, like, Paris Hilton opened it up by saying, like, oh, when I was a little girl, I had dolls, and now that I'm all grown up, I have real life dolls of my very own, and, like, I can make them do whatever I say. And I was like, oh, this is awful. Thank God I'm not on this show. So I had very small amounts of airtime on the first episode, and then I was out, which was great, because the only other bit of the show I saw later in the season, it was like, you have to play 7 minutes in heaven with Dirt Nasty, and, like, all this stuff that every step along the way I would have been like, no, I don't want to be anyone's friend that bad. You should want to be my friend too. This should be mutual. Like, I think I had too much, I don't want to say self-respect because I don't want to make anyone else look poor. I had too much logic behind this at the time to really go along with anything. And maybe it was too much stick in the mudness, which I think is how they played it off on the episode, that I was like a goody two-shoes stick in the mud that wasn't up for a good time or down for a good time or whatever. But it was a bad experience for me all around. And I think that if I was on the show longer, it definitely would have negatively impacted my career. But I don't want to say that all reality is bad, because I think that reality TV, as much as I was against it when it first started, because, you know, I was going into theater, I'm an actor, and this is the death of scripted television, and, you know, I hated reality TV and everybody should boycott it. I do think that there are some fundamentally good things about reality TV that gave way to the type of entertainment that a lot of us consume on YouTube now. Namely that in research, they found that people who watch reality TV do so because they feel like they can relate better to the on-screen personalities than in scripted series. They're getting kind of like a tease of voyeurism, like they're being let in on situations that they shouldn't be allowed to listen in on, whether it's gossip or nudity or anything like that. You know, they're getting a sneak peek where they shouldn't be. And a lot of reality TV shows have like a viewer participation element to them. So again, the viewer's feeling more involved. I would say now we get those perks on YouTube, but the difference is that instead of big studio heads being like, oh, we need to make this interesting, and I don't care who we make look bad to do it, it'll be funny. Now, a lot of times when you see YouTubers putting themselves out there, they're putting themselves out there. There's not someone with like puppet strings trying to make everybody look bad. So at least that's my take from my experience. And my question to you guys is, would you ever want to be on a reality show? And if so, which one would you think you'd like to be on? Let me know that in the comment section. I know this week's a lot lighter, but I felt like we needed that after all the heavy, controversial, argumentative stuff from last week. If you guys want to submit your own vlog about reality TV shows and what you think about them, you can do that, please, from the shoulders up only. You can go to the About section of my channel and hit For Business Inquiries and send me your YouTube link that way. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.